Hey, welcome back everyone. Good Tuesday morning. Hopefully we're having a wonderful start to the week out there and hopefully enjoying some of the weather back home, although not for everybody. Some folks are seeing nicer weather compared to others. But the big story still is Tropical Storm Ernesto moving through portions of the Caribbean, currently bringing some feisty weather to you folks, and unfortunately going to set its eyes on Bermuda come kind of the end of this week and getting into the weekend. Now, Ernesto is not the only story. We do have the chance for some strong to severe storms in the lower 48 over the next couple of days. Also, some signs of fall maybe as we get some troughing in the eastern half of the country that could bring some stormy weather as well as some nicer weather on the backside. So I'll let you know who could see that nicer air going into next week. Now, if you're new here, welcome. My name is Gerald. I'm a meteorology major at the University of North Carolina, Charlotte. And if you haven't already subscribed, please do so. Also, hit the bell for the latest notifications, like the video, and comment. Let me know kind of what you're seeing in your neck of the woods this morning, or if you've just seen any interesting weather over the past couple of days, also let me know about that. Also want to say thank you to everyone who's tuned in from Bermuda and Puerto Rico and kind of these other areas being impacted by Ernesto. It means a lot to me that you're joining me from kind of outside of the lower 48, and hopefully my coverage is of use to you. So I do appreciate that. Also, I have been reading all the comments, I do promise. Just been a little busy. I'm about to move this week, so haven't had a lot of time to kind of sit down and type up replies to all of them. But I think with all that said, that's enough of me yapping on. We can go ahead and start talking about the weather here. So again, Ernesto's still kind of the big story in the headlines, and here he is. A pretty, healthy looking tropical system, still only at 45 mile an hour sustained winds right now, and has slowed down a little bit. Yesterday we were moving about 25 miles an hour. Today, a little bit closer to 15 miles an hour as we move towards Puerto Rico throughout the rest of today and getting into tomorrow as well. And then after that, all bets are off as a likely rapid intensification will unfold for the storm on approach to Bermuda. And then we just got to hope that it moves a little bit to either the right or the left of the island here, or the east or the west, I guess, if you want to get specific here. So again, that's the main story. But behind it, we do have another tropical wave, not as feisty as Ernesto, but we do have some convection firing up, and you can also see a little bit of a spin there. So I'm going to want to watch that one as well. Right now, I don't think we have anything from the NHC on that wave. I probably should have checked, but the models are not very excited about that one. So either way, we've got time to watch it. Also, a big old plume of thunderstorms, a good old mesoscale convective system this morning over Kansas and Oklahoma. Feels like 3 mornings in a row you folks have gotten it good out there. And this morning is no different. So again, some active weather out there even outside of Ernesto. But I do want to kind of zoom in on the main development region of the Atlantic a little bit more here just to kind of show it off for you. Again, here is Ernesto, very healthy looking storm this morning for, its current strength. It definitely looks like a strengthening storm, one that is, slowly getting its act together. But also, again, we've got this wave behind it and a big old wave coming off of the Africa coastline and, again, getting into that main development region. Now, our models still are not picking up on any of these other waves in terms of development chances, but I'll let you know, again, sometimes it can take a little bit for them to finally latch onto these ideas of development, and they can sneak up on you pretty quickly. So we'll continue to monitor it. Also note this kind of band of cloud cover up here that is moving through Bermuda right now. That is what is going to be our exit ramp for Ernesto and kind of pull him northward here and avoid contact with the United States and hopefully with Canada as well, at least direct contact. But again, we'll take a look at the models, and it's not completely set in stone for you folks up in East Canada yet. So you will want to continue to monitor that. All right, latest track straight from the National Hurricane Center. Again, here's Ernesto. Let's just look at it on satellite for a second. Again, just a healthy looking storm here. We've got some pretty good cloud tops going up through Guadalupe, the Nitsa Nevis, Anguilla, if that's how you say it. Again, by the way, if you live in any of these islands and I absolutely butcher the name, I apologize. Feel free to correct me in the comments. But the Virgin Islands, Puerto Rico, again, storm on the way for you, and tropical storm warnings in effect for all of these islands that are in these kind of blue shaded colors right now. So again, a healthy, strengthening looking system this morning, and will continue to look that way probably for the future. Again, expected to become Hurricane Ernesto sometime overnight tomorrow into Thursday, but I'll tell you, if it really gets its act together after it passes Puerto Rico, where it's expected to be a 60 mile an hour tropical storm, we could see that hurricane status a little bit sooner. And again, right on the doorstep of major hurricane status expected, right on approach to Bermuda. This is overnight Friday into Saturday here, a strong Category 2 hurricane right near the island of Bermuda. And look at this cone track. I mean, it is right next to you, folks. So you're going to want to continue to monitor it. And you folks know, if you've lived there long enough, the size of your island helps, but it also makes it a pain in the rear end to forecast exactly how rough your impacts will be, because the storm that is right here versus right here might not be that big of a difference in the grand scheme of things. I mean, it's still in, well, I guess you can't see that second arrow, but right here compared to there, isn't that big of a difference in the grand scheme of forecasting. But in the size of your island, you play that into the factors, and yeah, it's a pretty big forecasting spread there. So it's just something I think we'll definitely know a lot more by Saturday. But it's just like a tropical system coming onshore to the United States. We know generally where it'll make landfall, but the exact city or town that gets it the worst, you kind of just have to nowcast up to the last second. So going to be the same story for you folks in Bermuda. And the latest forecast, again, strong Category 2 storm. Do not rule out a major hurricane. Again, conditions are pretty favorable here on approach to the island, and there could very easily overpass that Category 2 status and get to major hurricane status, which is something we'll want to watch out for. Speaking of that, latest model guidance on intensity, just about all of our models get this up to at least Category 2 strength, which is kind of all of the lines that go above this orange box here. But even some of them get this into Category 3, and one even into Category 4 strength. So I don't want you to let your guard down and think, okay, a Category 2 at 110 miles an hour is different than a Category 3 at 115 miles an hour. One's called major, one's not, but the impacts are the exact same here. And again, it's really going to be most important where that track is. Now, intensity obviously also important, but 105 mile an hour storm that goes right over the island is going to feel a lot worse than 130 mile an hour storm that's 100 miles off to the east. So we'll definitely need to monitor that here, and we'll continue to do so. But again, a strengthening environment for Ernesto. All right, rainfall totals. Here we go. Again, this map hasn't really changed all that much, but still a good amount of rain on the way. A lot of this probably has already fallen through the Antilles here, from Antigua down to Dominica and Martinique. But for Puerto Rico, again, all of this still basically to come. Same for St. Croix and the Virgin Islands. Isolated spots of 200 millimeters of rainfall. A couple places could get even more than that with some topography. We'll watch for that. Even down here into the Dominican Republic along the southern coastline, a good half a foot of rain, or a good 100 to 150 millimeters of rainfall in isolated spots. So rain will definitely be a concern. A storm surge, less of a concern, but still something we're watching. We could see 1 to 3 feet of storm surge through St. Thomas, St. John, St. Croix, and again, just through kind of the Virgin Islands here, and even back into the eastern coast of Puerto Rico. So luckily, these islands tend to gain elevation pretty quickly, especially Puerto Rico's got some pretty good mountains on it. So, 3 feet isn't a lot, but it is still enough if high tide moves in and you're still seeing that surge. You're going to want to maybe pick some things off from the beach, just so they don't get kind of taken back out into the ocean. So, again, watching storm surge as well. And winds, this is the latest update from this. Bermuda now in a 70 to 80% chance of seeing at least tropical storm force winds. Hurricane force winds, probably about a 30 to 40% chance right now. But again, we feel very confident we're going to get at least tropical storm conditions in Bermuda, and we'll likely get tropical storm watches in the coming days as we get within that time frame, and probably even hurricane watches as well, I should add. So again, increasing forecasts for wind speeds here near the island of Bermuda. Puerto Rico, again, could see some tropical storm conditions, especially the Virgin Islands, I think, are the most likely in the Caribbean to see those tropical storm conditions. But impact's really going to be about the same here for most folks. Again, squally weather, heavy rainfall, light surge, your average tropical storm kind of conditions. All right, so model guidance here. We will start with the American model. And again, we're going to breeze through this a little bit just because there's, not really that much time left in the Caribbean with the storm. But here we go this afternoon. Again, at this point, Ernesto likely moving over the Virgin Islands and into the Puerto Rico area, bringing that heavy rain. Again, that will continue throughout the day today, probably even into the overnight. But I think by the time we get into our Wednesday afternoon here, just some leftover showers and storms through Hispaniola and through Puerto Rico, but winds should calm down. Surge should become less of a problem. And again, just kind of some leftover rain. But most of the storm and its ingredients, or I guess showers and storms, and the structure, the core of it, is now moving kind of out to sea, up towards generally the Bermuda area. So again, I'm going to want to watch that. Also, I'm going to go ahead and circle the island of Bermuda here, just so you've got a reference for where it's at the entire time here. Again, just so you know, Bermuda, you're already going to get some rain today from that front passing through that I showed you on satellite. But here comes Ernesto, again, kind of done with the Caribbean by Wednesday. And up to this point, you're thinking, well, all right, it's moving pretty far to the west here. We might be good. Well, what happens is that trough to your north picks up the storm and kind of slings it back in your direction. So even the Bahamas here, again, not really going to see direct impacts from the storms, but rough seas, rip currents are going to be a concern. So if you're vacationing there, or even if you live there, just be aware of that going through Wednesday and Thursday. Now here we go, again, heavy rain from that frontal system through Bermuda, or in Bermuda for the next coming days. But here we go, this is Friday morning into Friday afternoon, a strong, powerful, major hurricane approaching the island. And again, that little purple or pink circle is the island. And we move this further ahead into time, and it's a very close call. But on this model, the storm is just to the east of you. So you would still see tropical storm conditions out of this, but those hurricane and major hurricane conditions might be just offshore from you. So again, still need to watch it. This is only a 50 to 100 mile difference for a storm that is still, a good 5 days away, 4 to 5 days. So we're going to continue to monitor it here. But then after that, by the time we get into Sunday afternoon, much nicer conditions overtake the island. And then we focus on potentially Atlantic Canada. Now, you folks up into Canada, here we go, latest model run. This is going into Sunday and Monday on the American model. And again, it's a close call. Not a direct landfall, but some of these outer bands definitely getting into Nova Scotia and Newfoundland by the time we start next week. It would be squally weather. We would see some wind gusts. And then eventually the GFS does kind of make landfall into Newfoundland as a strong extratropical low. So not a hurricane anymore, but the impacts would still remain the same. Strong winds. And some heavy rainfall, although some fronts would begin to attach to the storm. So again, it would lose its tropical status, but still we would see those impacts. And then if you just happen to be watching up into Europe, especially Ireland, Northern Ireland, and kind of the highlands of the United Kingdom, a pretty feisty storm going to be on the way for you folks potentially by the time we get a little more than a week out from now. So a lot of people going to be impacted by this storm, whether it's still a hurricane or an extratropical low or whatever you want to call it. Impacts will still be had from, again, the Caribbean all the way to Europe potentially. So again, for my folks in America, obviously, we're kind of taking a breath here, taking a break after Debbie, and we're seeing this one kind of moving away from us. But again, still impacts coming from this one. All right, so again, European model, same thing really for the Caribbean. So I'm going to kind of swing on through this a little bit. Again, it should clear out by Wednesday afternoon, but now through then, stormy, squally weather is going to be on and off common theme there. Now, I will circle the island of Bermuda once more so you can see it again. I know it's just so tiny on this map, but here we go. Here comes the storm. Again, a strengthening hurricane, and eventually probably about a major hurricane around this point on the European model. And the GFS was just to the east of you. The European is just to the west of you. But that outer bands and even close to the core of the storm moving right over the island, even if the eye itself isn't. So this would be closer to hurricane conditions on the European model. We would still see heavy rain. We would still see some surge problems, especially on this one. Now, if the storm is to the east of you, surge will be less of a big deal. It will still be there, but it'll be on the northern side of the island. If it's to the west of you, the surge will be a little stronger and on the southern side of the island. So we'll want to watch that. And then again, the storm continues to strengthen right over you and then moves out of here by Sunday afternoon, and things become much nicer. Now, zooming things out for our folks in Atlantic Canada on the European model run. Here we go. Again, now we'll move this ahead into time past Bermuda. A major hurricane, strong low pressure, then becoming extratropical or post-tropical by the time we get towards early next week, and further offshore from Nova Scotia on this model run, and further offshore from Newfoundland, although still clips the southern part of the island with the northern edge of the storm. And then after that, again, moves towards Europe as a very strong mid-latitude cyclone. So, not something to completely write off, but we will continue to monitor it. And quickly, let me just throw a little nugget here. Look at this little blue isobar. Love to see that. Sign of winter and fall on the way. Definitely going to need some more of that upper level cold air in my life soon. So again, just want to throw that out there. We are getting closer to fall, which I will mention in every video because I am ready for it. All right, steering currents. We've been beating it to death here, but same old, same old. Here's the storm. This is Wednesday evening into Thursday. Here's our exit ramp or our trough or our just gap in the highway, if you will. And what's going to happen again is it's Ernesto's going to take that gap in the highway. It's going to take that exit ramp. Again, it had a straight shot to the United States, but instead it's taking a vacation to Bermuda, which is unfortunate, obviously, for you folks, but that's what's happening. So again, it takes that exit, and then after that should kind of, again, become extra tropical or post-tropical on approach to Canada, and then we're left with just a trough into the eastern United States. And again, that trough could bring some nicer air on the backside, but also some stormy weather, which we will touch on here right after this map. So again, latest ensembles, I'll just show you the Europeans because it's got more ensembles and it's very similar to the GFS. Most members, again, bring this right near Bermuda, but still look at the spread here. The island is generally in kind of this latitude here. And actually, let me pick a color you can see a little bit better, but look at how far apart some of these members are. So for the island of Bermuda, again, it is a tough one, but unfortunately, the mean right now is basically right over you or within 100 miles, 150 kilometers of your location. So, there are still possibilities. It's far enough on one side or the other that impacts are more limited, and we will hope for that. But right now, it looks like a pretty rough storm for you folks. Now, after that for Canada, again, a pretty good chunk get this near or close enough to Nova Scotia and Newfoundland that we would see impacts, especially Newfoundland. Again, we've got a pretty good clustering of members that take this right onto the island. So we'll watch it, and again, we'll keep you updated here. But right now, just too soon to know for sure. But as we get closer to this weekend, we can dive more into direct impacts that would be a potential there for you folks in Canada. All right, so let's take a look at radar now and kind of weather over the next couple of days through the eastern United States. Okay, so again, this morning, we've got some active weather for sure to have some showers and storms moving on through the Carolinas and Virginia. This is part of a northwest kind of flow event that could bring some severe weather this afternoon to folks in South Carolina and North Carolina. We also, again, have a big mesoscale convective system back into Kansas. Not bringing severe weather this morning, but but is bringing the potential of some very heavy rainfall, lightning, and a flash flooding potential. So these are kind of the two main areas of disturbed weather right now. We also do have some widespread showers and storms back into the Rockies from Arizona all the way up through Idaho and Montana. A lot of people getting in on that active weather today. But in terms of watches, warnings, and advisories, and I'll even show you the West Coast here, not all that much except for some heat advisories and excessive heat warnings in the mid-south from Louisiana, Texas, Arkansas, Oklahoma, down into Mississippi, and even into the Jacksonville, Savannah area, and Miami, and there through South Florida. But other than that, still dealing with some flooding from Debbie, river flood warnings up from, again, the places that were impacted by Tropical Storm and Hurricane Debbie not long ago. But luckily, no major kind of outbreaks or anything right now unfolding on the map. Now, with that said, we will still see severe weather, and here we go. This is for this afternoon, a marginal risk of severe weather from Charlotte, Columbia, Florence, Myrtle Beach, Charleston, Mount Pleasant, Orangeburg. I could name every other city in South Carolina here if I wanted, but you get the point. Strong storms for you folks. Also, again, into the Rockies from Montana, Utah, Colorado, and even down into portions of, Nebraska and in Kansas City. So main threat today will be strong straight line winds out of any storm in any of these areas. Tomorrow, a more defined severe weather threat into Kansas, Nebraska, and especially into the Kansas City area, the Lincoln area, where we could see a couple tornadoes, but again, strong straight line winds and some hail will be the main threat tomorrow. And then we get into our Thursday and another slight risk of severe weather. This one a little bigger, a little more defined from Chicago, Peoria, Springfield, into St. Louis, and even back down towards the Joplin area. So going to see some strong storms the next couple of days as a trough swings on through, brings enough wind energy that, again, will try to support the formation of some strong to severe storms. All right, let's start with the, these storm chances over the next couple of days in the east. This is this afternoon and evening. Again, the Carolinas could see some strong feisty storms. Main threat would be strong straight line winds. Cannot completely rule out a tornado. But it's a non-zero chance, meaning it's not likely, but it's not 0% either. So we will monitor that for you folks. And then back into Missouri and into the Ozarks, some showers and storms working on through, some showers and storms up into the Dakotas as well. So again, just kind of on and off rain with some severe potential this afternoon and evening. By the time we get into the overnight, another complex of storms works out of the Rockies and into portions of the central part of the country, and again could see some pretty feisty storms with some heavy rain, lightning, some strong straight line winds here into this circled region on your map. From Missouri, again, Nebraska, Iowa, and even back down potentially towards western Tennessee, could see some stronger storms. Now, what I want you to also notice is look at this low pressure forming. Again, we've got a bit of a storm system getting going by the middle of the week. And by the time we get to Wednesday afternoon, again, this could bring some strong storms. And this is why we have that slight risk up for Wednesday. Yeah, sorry. What was I thinking? Yeah, we do have a slight risk. Sorry, I just had a complete blank there. But yeah, so this is back for Wednesday afternoon, which to show you that map today is Tuesday. So sorry, I'm just making sure I'm on the right page here. Yeah, so again, that marginal risk and that slight risk for Wednesday. And then this is Thursday. Sorry, I'm all lost on what day of the week it is. I said Wednesday, and I kind of psyched myself out a little bit. But anyway, back to the forecast. So again, yeah, Wednesday afternoon and evening, we're going to see some strong to severe storms here as this low pressure swings on through. Again, through much of the Great Plains, anyone really kind of in that circled area could see a strong to severe storm. And then this model doesn't quite get to Thursday, but it does get into overnight Wednesday into Thursday. Again, here comes the low pressure, and here comes those storm chances kind of spreading eastbound. And then again, Thursday could see an uptick just to the east of these locations as that low pressure continues to deepen and bring some severe weather chances with it. Now, why are we seeing this, and what is this going to mean in the long run? Well, again, the reason we're seeing severe storms today is this leftover troughing kind of in the east from that same trough that is picking up Ernesto and bringing those showers and storms to Bermuda that I talked about. But for the long run, another trough develops out west. And again, here's our storm system. Here's our low pressure developing come Thursday and Friday. Here's our upper or mid-level low. Here's probably our low at the surface. And again, that will swing on through, bring some of those showers and storms through the middle of the week, and then eventually park itself over the eastern United States. And we've got a nice dip in the jet stream here. So to start next week, could see some cooler, wetter conditions in the east half of the country, and then some hotter, drier conditions out to the west. So, what goes up must come down, though. So we will see how long this pattern lasts. But models right now, again, this is next Monday, maintain it through much of next week. Then we'll see what happens after that. But definitely would bring some interesting changes in the weather, including some stormy weather. So we'll move this into Thursday. Again, we do have a severe weather threat Thursday. Here's why. Here's that surface low that I talked about. Here's that kind of severe weather threat down in the severe quadrant of that low pressure. So again, could see some strong storms there. Also could see some storms moving on through the northeast during the middle of this week. And then obviously elephant in the room is Ernesto here on Thursday. Again, it's act together and moving towards Bermuda. Now, what's going to happen into the weekend is that low pressure is going to hang around, and we could see a couple days of stormy weather into the Great Lakes region, into the Ohio River Valley through this weekend. Again, at that point, hard to believe, getting through the middle of August. And then to start next week, that low pressure, and depending on its placement, we could get some nicer, drier fall air to kind of funnel in on the backside, kind of on the converging side of that trough. So we'll hope for it. I'll hope for it because the timing would be great for a first day of class. And here we go. This is next Monday afternoon. You'll notice, again, signs of some cooler, drier air trying to funnel in out of Canada on the backside of this trough. Now, it's not perfect here, obviously. This isn't a big cool down by any means, but it is enough that it could potentially, bring a spell of a couple of days of some nicer air. And again, if I back this up, you'll notice, see how muggy it is ahead of time. We've got crazy dew points going into this weekend ahead of that front. Then hopefully, again, it crosses through, brings dew points back down a little bit closer to what you would want this time of year, and hopefully stay a little bit lower for a while. But again, it doesn't look like a big cold front, but enough that it is worth mentioning and hoping for. Also, temperatures, again, it's going to be, relatively below average for the near future with those storms today in the east. And then, again, probably warming up a little bit into this weekend ahead of that front. But after the front moves through, again, to start next week, we do have a pretty good pocket of average to below average temperatures here through the Ohio River Valley and the mid-Atlantic. And then, again, it's going to be warmer out west and into the mid-south, kind of out here where this ridge is developing. But again, could see a stretch of some cooler weather in the east, but we will have rain chances again, depending on how long that trough hangs around. So, all right, that's the latest for you on this Tuesday morning. Hopefully you found some use in it. I will be back tonight for another update on the tropics. So again, if you haven't already subscribed, do that. Hit the bell for notifications. You'll be updated immediately when I upload and have the latest and greatest information. Also follow me on all my social medias, which are linked below in the description. All right, have a great rest of your Tuesday, y'all, and I'll see you tonight.